because you are actually on here, that, you know, obviously you know why. And so I said payments are on time, and then last night when we were talking, I was like completely paid in full. But I printed this yesterday,
Right.
so it was already done for the meeting. So I was
Right.
like, yeah, everything is done.
Great.
But these are people who are not on any kind of payment plan, didn't respond one way or the other. They were behind, they're behind now, and we are now, so now, when I say, I keep saying the roof assessment, that's not what I mean. It was the hurricane
The loss
assessment.
assessment.
Yes, that they have not paid yet, and now we're starting the roof assessment. So, they gotta go to the attorney. So, like I said, there's a few that are going tomorrow morning, and then there's a bunch that are going next month if they haven't paid by then. Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, I mean, in total, going through just down and dirty, you're probably looking at about $80,000 throughout the whole
Across the
cluster.
entire
Of people who have, that's how much they're in arrears.
Yeah.
So how long are we gonna drag that out? How long I mean, are we gonna foreclose on anybody, or are we gonna do anything as far as, how long are these people gonna be able to go without paying?
No, we've been following the process along with all of them. We have a whole bunch already at the attorney prior to these two things.
Right.
And we'll send them, we'll just continue to send them. Like I said, you get the letter and then you get 30 days. And then you go to the attorney. So
And
all the
then-
charges are in.
And then,
The process is in the statute. So it's 45 days, they send a notice of intent to lien, then they can file a lien. And then I think the lien is good, I think it's 6 months or something like that, whatever the time is, but they only have to wait 45 days. You can send a notice of intent to foreclose, and then they can begin the foreclosure process, so. And we have two going under foreclosure now, right? Don't we have two we're doing it with, or one? Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. I get my associations mixed up sometimes, and we have one or two that we're already in the foreclosure process of.
I mean, there are a lot that are noted on here that are at the attorney or going to the attorney.
Yeah.
And, I know as cluster directors, we're kind of badgering Janet at times, saying,
Yeah.
where are we with this one, where are we with
I'm
this one?
just asking, cause I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I've been here very long, and in the past, you know, people dragged on for over a year.
Yeah.
And that,
Oh, no.
and things didn't happen.
No.
So,
You don't have any like that. This board, has been, and I have coffee, but I feel like I need to move 5 feet away from it. Oh, okay. The, this board has been very proactive, so was the last, to be honest with you. We've been sticking to that schedule. The only reason there was some leeway given recently was because of the due dates of the, loss assessment and allow people to get their monies from their insurance company. But that's it. Other than that, we've been sticking to it and staying on top of it, so.
Okay, well, I know at the time of COVID, there was, you couldn't evict anybody. They wouldn't allow that, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's all gone now, and, you know, if
Oh,
somebody's
yeah,
not
it's
up
gone.
to it, we can evict.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, when you foreclose on a condo, you don't get the home and get to sell it. It's not like it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on whether they have a first mortgage or
Right.
not, but what we do get is possession of the home.
Mm-hmm.
So either the owner, if we choose to allow the owner to stay in the home, and make arrangements, they can pay rent to the association until they're paid up. When we have the last monies we need, we will deed the home back to them. That does not get them out of paying their mortgage or anything else.
Right, but if they're, at this point, if they're not even paying the HOA fees now, even if we did that and they pay us rent, they're not gonna pay.
Right. So you
Because if
would-
they could pay, they would
Right.
have paid the HOA fees.
Right, so then we would go through the eviction process, we would go through the process of notifying any mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
I always say it wrong,
Lenders.
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 Yeah, a lot of times they will step in,
Mm-hmm.
file against the owner, pay this off so this is done,
Right.
and they will step in and handle it from that point
Okay.
on.
I was just hoping we were not, you know, in the past, we've dragged this out and.
You're not,
Don't want that.
I can look through here.
As I say, we do have some who are renting,
Mhm.
who are way in arrears.
Mhm.
And we request that the attorney actually hold that rent or try to get that rent to pay the assessment to, or the amount that's in arrears.
Sure.
You have 2 accounts that are past 90 days due, that's it, in the whole community, 2.
Okay.
And a third one that's $129 past due, as far as you're concerned,
Right.
past 90 days due.
Right.
But that one's already at the attorney, so they probably owe way more than what we're seeing here. So you're in good shape. We don't, we're,
The two that you're talking about are at the attorney?
the 2 that are past 90 days
Right.
due are already at the attorney,
Right.
but you don't have,
Right.
those are it, literally.
Okay.
There's the third one, but they're only past due
Right.
$129, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're staying on top of it. I mean, you don't
Okay.
have anybody past 60 days that is not at the attorney yet, so,
Okay, thanks.
yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, you're in good shape. It's not good shape, like cluster 2, we talked last night, cluster 2, there's, I ran it again yesterday, they're $22,000 of, you know what I mean, of unpaid assessments, so, you know, I don't wanna say everybody's in good shape, but we are staying on top of it because we don't wanna get to that point where you can't collect it, so,
Right.
yeah. Is that what you wanted me to go over?
Yep.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions? Who's on by video? About it? No?
I do.
Oh, is that you, Austin?
Yes, it is. Hi, Laura. I just, my question is the association able to recoup some of these legal fees should the home be foreclosed and then sold? Or does the master just end up having to pay this? Or I guess the cluster?
The accounts that you have, we hooked you up with a different attorney for collections last year. This attorney, law firm, does not charge the association anything in advance. Everything gets added onto the ledger on the attorney's end, and when the owner has fully paid over there, the remainder of the monies that is owed to the association gets paid to us. It does not come out of our share, it's in addition to our share, but we don't have to put up any front money. The exception to that is when we actually file a foreclosure, there is a fee for the filing something or other thing, and I think it's like, I wanna say it's like $650, $450, whatever it is, the filing fee with the county, the, whatever. That is the only time that the association pays out of pocket when you get to the actual foreclosure, and that also goes on the owner's ledger. If we were to foreclose, we would also put on the owner's ledger the cost of deeding it back to them, because that can get costly also. And the
Right.
association should not have to eat that cost either.
Perfect. So ultimately the owner, you know, even if they are foreclosed on and lose the property, the sale of that home goes towards paying those attorney costs.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Janet, this is Chad. I have a quick question. You just quickly mentioned that it needs to get to a point before we cannot collect the money. So what happens if, let's just say this 80,000, they can't collect 20, 30, 40,000 of it? Do we get another special assessment as a community to cover these unpaid assessments?
We'd have to get a year down the road for that to happen, and I'll explain that to you. But if that were to ever happen, you would be instructed by the attorney as to which portion of that, per the court, that would have to be written off. And during whatever year that occurs, if that were to short the budget that much, you could potentially need a special assessment. In general, we don't go around special assessing for that. But what happens is, and the reason we're staying on top of it, which is why Janet was asking earlier, that we're staying on top of it, is if there is a mortgage on the condo,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes into a foreclosure, the mortgage, the bank obviously is the first mortgager, and a mortgagee, whatever, lender, and they get, thank you, and they get priority. So they can claim something called safe harbor. And again, this only applies if there's a mortgage on the condo. And that means with Safe Harbor, they only have to pay the association 12 months of assessments. That's all they have to pay.
Okay.
So we don't ever want it to go on past a year.
Gotcha.
That's why we start the process as soon as possible, because the statute does say 30 days after the first letter, 45 after the next one, 45 after the notice of intent to lien, plus all the time in between. So, you know, we're staying on top of it so that doesn't happen. But potentially, yes, you could be instructed to write something off, and whatever, you know, this 22,000 is funds that, I'm using cluster 2 as an example. This 22,000 is funds that cluster 2 was anticipating collecting this year for this year's budget. So does that leave you
Yeah.
short? Yeah, it does. And we'll see if we get it by the end of the year.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions about the accounts receivables and collections process? Okay, all right. Moving on to discussion regarding owners altering common elements.
Where is this happening?
It's happened all
everywhere.
over this place, yeah. Yeah.
We know from our walk around last year
Yeah,
that this
it's
is
everywhere.
not just one area.
So owners own no land outside of their back door, none in the clusters, none outside of their front door. It's all common element. Clusters have allowed owners to put in their own landscaping, stepping stones, patios, whatever. I'm not even sure how that got approved, or if it even got asked to be approved. Probably we should send a cease and desist, grandfather, whatever, not a cease and desist, a clean slate letter, you know, starting this date, knock it off, and et cetera. But how this came about is in cluster 5, there is an area of rock with a long portion of the irrigation pipe showing. And the owner, it's outside of his unit, it's ugly, it's black pipe, he would like to put rock in to cover that up, because over the years, you know, it's gone down. So a couple things in speaking with him after the fact, his initial request was that he didn't put the rock in, he thinks the association did. It's one of those little like areas that's bricked off, it's got rock in it. So should the association put it in rock in that landscaping? Yes, if you want to improve on the landscaping, the association should. The second question that rises, and I'm not sure we're ready for this conversation tonight, because the second one that rises is, I believe that 99% of your irrigation, as is required, is buried underground. So how did a pipe get put in that bed above the rock? My thoughts are, at some point there was a break and it was repaired with an out-of-ground splice, for lack of a better, than an underground, which I'm not sure, I mean, it's probably not the greatest idea, but I think it's in a safe spot, but I'm not sure you can go put pounds of rock on top of it and not have an irrigation line break. So I think it was done incorrectly. It probably should have been buried again. It looks like it was spliced off on two sides and a piece run across the top. You know, so I don't even know if that's even something that we want to consider, but in any case, it is in cluster 5. It is an area of rock, and I can get you the unit number if you want to take a look at it, where the pipe is showing, and the owner would like to know if the association will put more rock down to disguise the pipe so that it doesn't have this big black thing laying right across the front of his unit.
Is the front, not the back courtyard, where it is?
It is the front of this one, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
But he also offered to put the rock in himself.
He has emailed me since then, and rescinded that because he didn't realize it wasn't his land.
Well,
Right.
okay, but
Yeah.
from the purposes of making it look nice and everything, he would be willing to do it himself.
But we're not sure that we can put rock on that irrigation line.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about, we're not talking the big heavy ones, we're talking these little pebbles that we've all got.
Okay, so apparently we're gonna have this discussion, because Janet wants to discuss it, so, What does the board want to do moving forward as far as allowing owners to make changes or improvements within the common area, even if it's just replenishing an area that's already there?
Can I just say
I
first
think
of
we
all, with the pipe thing, I think we do need to have Jesus look at that, because if he or whoever is before him fixed a pipe and left it exposed, not buried, it is a tripping hazard, you know, and it's become much more susceptible to breakage, and we don't need something like that to break in any cluster. So I do think it's imperative we get Jesus out here to do something about it. So for that specific situation. Okay, now, Nancy, you had something to say before I started talking.
I think that we should have a standing order with whoever the landscaping company is, that if they see a dead bush, take it out and replace it with something.
So that's not what we're talking about right this second. What we're talking about
I
right
know.
now is, does the community want, or the board want to allow owners to put bushes in, or flowers, or plants, and put in their own rock, or their own mulch?
Well, my point though, Laura, is that if Jesus takes care of it in a timely manner, the owners do not have to.
Well, in this case, because we're talking about a common element that the board originally put in, this would be no different than the other maintenance people offering their time or their work to do some work around the community, like fix the fence or whatever, where the association would buy the rock, and he would just install it. So there's probably nothing wrong with that once we get the pipe broken. But when this initially came about, he thought he owned it. Charlie thought he owned it, I think, I'm not sure. And so the question came, can an owner go out? Because I said, who owns that, or who put that in? And he said, it's in front of my unit, I own it. And I said, well, that's not true. And he said that's when he realized that he didn't own that. He thought it was his, like when he purchased his unit, it was just there already, and he wanted to put more rock in and maintain it. So just because of the way he asked the question, that's why it got put on here, but it's turned into something different after speaking with him since this was on the agenda. So I don't know if you guys even want to tackle this project now, but if an owner wants to fix, like Megan even, you know, suggested asking for bush donations, you know, things like that, as long as the work is approved, it belongs there, first off, it benefits the community, not them, and it's approved by the board, you know, whether it's just via email, can I put the rock in, will you guys order some rock, can I put it in? And if you say, no, we can't afford it, and he says, well, if I donate $50 or $150 worth of rock, can I put it in? And we just say, yes, show us which rock, and you know what I mean, and make sure it matches. There's nothing wrong with that if the board wants to allow it, but like I
This is
said.
Megan. I don't see any problem with that if it's pre-approved. I know when we did our walkthrough, there was a lot of structural issues that people like added on to their lanai and stuff that, you know, really wasn't good. So I think it just needs to be pre-approved. That's what I would think, like on an individual basis, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
I agree with Megan, because I think it would save us some money in the long run too. And maybe owners would take more of an interest if they were, you know, looking for exactly nicer things to put around in the courtyards.
I agree too, you know, there's a lot of things that, as you said, you walk around, some people, you spend a lot of time in your lanai, you like a lot of flowers out there, there's not a lot of flowers, things bloom at different times of the year here. So, yeah, I think, I agree with you ladies. You know, we're just trying to be reasonable, you don't wanna rule and reg everybody to death. But if somebody is interested in making the community better, I'm all for it.
I do want to say with the caveat that if you're going to be digging, then we need to make sure that somebody has checked, so you're not going to damage an underground water line or something like that and then cause a massive issue. So if that means that Jesus has to come out and basically say, you should be good with that. But not just, hey, I'm gonna throw in these pretty bushes type of thing. But I think if people wanna beautify their area and they're willing to spend the money that the cluster doesn't have to, absolutely save the community money and do it.
I think
But
it
Well, I will add one thing to that comment.
Who maintains it?
I would prefer that we include some kind of,
But that's not
comment about
landscape maintains it.
the plant has to go in the ground. It can't be sitting in 56 pots across the front of your door.
Oh, yes, I know what she means.
Well, I think that's why I recommended, maybe the board wants to consider a clean slate letter where
Yeah.
we send this out to everyone. It has been allowed for so long that I don't think people even realize that it is not their property at all, any of it. There's no paver bricks out there that are allowed, unless they got an official approval in writing from the board way back when. It's not allowed.
I've been here 10 years and I have 2 bricks in front of my lanai,
Yeah.
going out into the courtyard, and I was told, we put them in for you and make it look pretty.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, okay, you put them in as part of the association, so reasonably you would think the association's gonna take care of them. And I'm not the only one, but obviously it's not.
Right.
Because not everybody has it.
Right.
So I agree, I think I was gonna suggest that too, I think a clean slate letter.
With the exception for the ones with the 5,000 pots in front of the place.
No.
They clean up.
They're-
That can't be like
All
that.
of them need to clean up anything that is loose, that is not
In the ground.
not already in the ground needs to be removed, and anything that they want to put in the ground needs permission.
Okay.
That is how it should be, and that is how you get around with, if someone wants to make improvements with flowers, they don't put 50 around their thing and the whole rest of the courtyard is left alone. That's not what we're looking for here.
Yeah, I think it's a great way for, plus it allows people to kind of personalize with some flowers and bushes a little bit. So, yeah, Sean, you had some.
I was just gonna ask, who maintains it at that point? Is it upon the landscapers to maintain all that? Because that becomes an issue of, hey, I planted these, but you mowed them over, so who's gonna replace it then? Who weed whacks it and kills it? I want my replacement.
If the board approves Dawn buying 15 things of flowers and planting them in a certain area, we're gonna contact the landscaper and say the board approved that, it's part of the maintenance, would you maintain it? If they run them over, they need to replace them. If the board approves Dawn doing it and she plants them around her little 2 bricks she has and nobody else gets it, we're not gonna replace that, we're not gonna reimburse her, and it needs to come out. So, we just have to start keeping an eye on it.
And I would say this, before you buy something, make sure that it's not, like the bougainvillea, right? They're beautiful, but they'll cut you up. So, we know Jesus is not a huge fan of them, like he installed them for us, but don't plant something that is going to basically slice up anybody who's coming near it. Like, I know for a fact, like Jim and Judy Mack have roses. Judy takes care of those roses because she knows they will slice you up, and she wanted them there, so she actually maintains them. So as long as you're putting something in that's not dangerous, I think it should be fine.
I have a question. It pertains to the watering, the hoses, and the way they're placed around the courtyards and things. Are the ones that are by the certain condos, is that their water hose, or is it a common water hose for people to use, or how are the water hoses?
Keep in mind that the individual owner does not pay the water bill.
Okay.
So it is, if there's a hose attached to it, I know in your cluster.
Well, I brought the water hose, but
Yeah.
it's not in front of my house.
Yeah.
But I use it with
But you
St.
use it,
Tom.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
like, because I can't get water sprinkled in my area, it never is, because they're so close to the house that they go right into my house, so I can't have any kind of irrigation. So I have to hose my stuff down.
She needs bubblers instead of spray.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any on our side over
As
there.
I say, mine's the same in the back.
Yeah, like
They're
in the
right up
back
to
or
the
the
lanai.
front, because in the front,
Yeah,
it's
and
like
this is an
right up
issue
against
that,
my door.
Jesus is not addressed. I know this is an ongoing issue. I know I've gotten that comment in cluster 2 with the placement of some of them, but it sounds like it's an issue all the way around. Is there a way we can ask him to do like an audit of the sprinklers
So-
and, you know, working and not working?
So just so you know, I'm gonna ask Robin, after we're done with some of these items to discuss, cause she had a conversation with Jesus this week, and so, sorry to put you on the spot, Robin, but when we get
No,
kind
that's
of
fine.
done with this, I would just like for you to kind of provide an update on what you discussed with Jesus.
Absolutely.
But we'll finish this part of it, but yes, you can use
Okay.
the outside.
And I don't mind spraying it because I had a beautiful tree that was growing. It was, I don't remember what it was, but it was a nice tree and it flooded because it's kind that you don't water a lot.
Wow.
And it got watered so frequently and drowned it died.
Yeah.
And it took years to grow it and it's gone, it rotted. So I don't mind spraying them, I just wanna make sure that I'm not doing nothing wrong by using a hose and it's not in my yard.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we've talked about water bills, you know,
Yeah.
everybody knows with me, that's like one of my huge pet peeves
Well,
and how
that's
much
what I
money we
figured,
pay.
I didn't wanna
Yeah.
go on
it's just-
somebody's property and use the
No.
water hose.
Yeah.
Not
Even
their
though I bought
property.
it, I just don't wanna,
No,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Years ago, we had a beautification committee that decided on what plants were working, what plants, so they put out a list of things that were Florida, you know, that you could put that didn't need a lot of water, or things like that. I mean, it was suggestions for people, if you're gonna go buy something, stick with this versus that, buy this versus that kind of thing. I mean, it might be helpful to put out a list of Florida tropical, you know, bushes or whatever that would be workable here. I mean, I have a lot of plants out in front of mine, but I maintain them all. I mean, it's my thing, it's what I do. When I'm gone, my neighbor waters, I've never asked Jesus to do anything, it's completely mine. I put it out there but if I didn't have it, there'd be nothing. Because every time the bush died, we never had money to replant a new one. Or, you know, so many of those bushes are 40 years old, 50 years old from the original. And they're just dying, and so I started putting my own stuff. I don't know, I'm looking at it as something's better than nothing. And if I'm gonna put something nice, it's better than nothing.
Says you.
Exactly.
Right, but somebody in another
Exactly.
cluster might plant something we don't want
Exactly.
there, right?
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, that's why we need to do this.
I know we did have a report, I can't remember the name of the place, but
Was the
the people, the
Arboretum.
folks that came out and,
Mhm.
yeah, and so I know that report had, a lot of language as it relates to like, you know, what kind of plants, what kind of things to plant that would be good for our area.
Right.
Send that out.
I know that was done for cluster 5, it was done for 1 and 3, it was done for your cluster as well, Megan, was it done in 4?
I believe that, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Pomasola Botanical Gardens would be willing to come out and look or to give suggestions or anything like that.
We have them, we had somebody come out, Charlie had set that up originally.
Okay.
So we have them, and we have, I have a list of the Florida native
Yeah,
plants.
they updated the list, cause I know last year when I met with them, they say that we've actually changed our zone in the last, since that last list was created, so there are some modifications to it. So it sounds like the board is in favor of this, do we need to do a vote, what do we need to do for this, or just, you know, that we're,
No, we'll just move forward with it, we'll start working on preparing the clean slate letter, but for this particular one, we'll start with having Jesus look at that pipe, so,
take a look at that way.
yeah.
Robin, do you want to, at this point, kind of talk about your conversation with Jesus and what precipitated it?
Sure. I've been in touch with Jesus because I was working with him and Megan, or him and Laura on the entry, or the, along the gate near Bell's, and, so we were working with Jesus on it. So I spoke to him a few times, and I have been in touch, voicing some of the complaints we got regarding, first, all the weeds that have been being neglected. I said to him, what's been going on? I said, to be honest with you, Jesus, a lot of the directors and a lot of the owners are not happy with the way things are looking. I said, you guys do a phenomenal job on the grass and the edging and everything, but we were seeing a lot more weeds. And he's like, He said, first of all, you know, he's lost some employees, he's down on employees, so things are not, up to par as he would like them as well. But he also said that he's been trying to come out more and spray, because he said the weeds need to be addressed with the rainy season and everything. He can spray one day and there'll be new weeds the next day. So he told me that he would come out at least once a week right now, being that it is the rainy season, and he will, address that and spray more. He said he was being careful when he was spraying in 6 because of the roofers. The roofers asked him to please not spray when they were working. So he backed off on that for a little bit. I also addressed with him the issue of the palm trees. I believe some of the palm trees, some people said that they were hacked up and stuff, and they were wondering why they were looking like that. His answer to that was that some palm trees, not all palm trees need to be trimmed the same way, which I understand, because there's different, you can have different varieties of different shrubs and stuff, and they need to be trimmed at different times and in different ways. Some of those palm trees, he said, would be pretty much cut down, right down to the bare nub, and you will notice that they will grow back in 6 to 8 weeks, which again, they will need to be trimmed because it will still be hurricane season. So, he addressed it that way, he said, and then he's in the process of trimming the other trees. He said he's gonna start with all the little shrubs in each cluster, and then he's gonna move on to the palm trees, the regular ones that we need to get trimmed for hurricane season. So I did tell him we were, you know, looking for more communication. I also addressed with him, like you suggested, Nancy, we would like a report. I said if he wanted, if it's easier for him to communicate to me, and I can relay it to the directors, but we need to know if he notices a tree that's dead, if it needs to come out, and if we want to replace it. I said to him, you just need to keep us informed. Not all of us are gardeners, not all of us are there. So we need to have you as our backbone and let us know what's going on. And then I said, as a board or as the director, we can decide, do we want to replace that? What do we want to put in? Or if we want to leave it be there for a while because we don't have the funds. But I asked him if he would give better communication, and his answer and reply was yes. So, so that was it with Jesus.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome.
I appreciate you talking to him, because I know you are the gardener.
True.
I don't know about that, but yeah, no problem.
All right. Any questions about, any other comments about any of that? All right. Moving on to consideration of cluster/master expenditures over $1,000.
Well, you're not, because your manager needs a spanking. I forgot to get them together. So
Do we even have any?
I was gonna say, I'm not sure you have any, except for Megan, who has one that she doesn't even know about yet. So that the unit that we approved, for the building, stack lining, that while the walls are open,
Yeah.
there is a portion of the pipe from the ground under the bathtub that's under the slab over toward the toilet that could not be done. And it needs to be completely replaced. So there is a separate invoice for that for $3,800. But since they couldn't do it with the other process, I did ask for a discount on the original $10,000 bill for the amount of what they're doing now. So I just didn't bring it because I don't have the final figures, but the work is getting done. We'll argue the figures with them, but right now it's wide, her bathroom's wide open, the tub, it's not covered, all the pipe is rotten, we gotta do it right now. So we'll be seeing that come in, but I think we're gonna get an adjustment on the first bill, and then we'll have that second bill.
Great. All right. And you told us about yours, but it hasn't come through yet, right?
Yeah, I don't think it, I mean, nobody's
Yeah, so
really.
any cluster 2 members that are listening, these are a good examples of why our budget is the way it is. So, just all these are expensive repairs.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I'll bring that to the table once I have the final figure, but I don't know right now what it is, so.
Okay. All right, any questions about that? Are there any last minute contract proposals?
I didn't have anything come up.
Besides the pool thing, let me know about that.
Can I ask you about the pool thing, because, I saw Dawn's email go through, and I sent something, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, but Corey's reached out to me a couple times telling me how, you know, we need certain parts fixed, and he said it was the majority of the community, so I just wanna make sure that we're on the same page with that, or I guess what's the plan?
Well, with Corey, I just happened to see him yesterday when I was here, and he was showing me pictures of, those of us in cluster 4, 2 of the pumps, they're like rusting through, for the pool. And obviously, if the pump goes and it rusts through, we could have water leaks, it could be, yeah. So, so when he showed it to me and I checked our budget, and he suggested when we were talking that that 2 of them needed to be replaced. So that's why I sent the email out to the rest of the directors to let them know, because he did mention that other clusters are probably in the same boat. So because of the fact that it mitigates any kind of problem we could have down the road, I just wanted the other directors to know that I was okay with him doing it, but he was gonna reach out to Janet, give Janet the proposal and everything. So it was more or less a heads up in that regard, Megan, that he did talk to me and that, you know, I was good with it.
Yeah, I'm more asking, I'm more basically asking, you know, knowing that cluster 2 never has any money, the way he made it sound like to me was that it wasn't really optional, like we really needed it, so I don't, you know, I don't know what to say other than are we gonna wait until it breaks down, or, cause I didn't approve anything formally, I just sent the invoice into Janet.
Yeah, I know in my case, Corey was gonna send something to Janet, just outlining it, and that, I just moved ahead with it. Not moved ahead with it, but just gave her a heads up. Same with you
Yeah,
guys, so I don't know if he sent anything, yeah, it was just yesterday, but I don't know if he sent anything to Janet for you, for your cluster in the past.
No, I don't have any.
Well, yeah, I guess that's my question to Janet is, cause I can resend it, I emailed it, I think I emailed it to the whole board a few weeks ago, but I guess that's what I'm saying, like, I don't know if I can approve it, I know it's needed, and he told me it was necessary, but I don't know what to do moving forward, because I know we have no money, so that's kind of where I'm at. So I don't know, Janet, you want to speak to
Megan,
Cory?
the board has a fiduciary duty to maintain the association. So it needs to be fixed, or you're gonna be in a situation just like you are with, when a stack pipe breaks, where there's worse damage
I
than there was.
understand that, but no one responded to me, that's what I'm saying. I have the work, I have the invoice and stuff, so do you want me to resend it? That's what I was saying, I've been waiting on her, like, what I should do.
No, what I'm saying, I guess, is this: I'm not the one that tells you it's approved, you tell me. You tell me I approve this, and I let Corey know to go on. And we'll figure out where we get the money from. If we have to do a special assessment at some point to supplement the operating, that's what we do, like we did the past 2 years. But you, like, you're the boss of that. I mean, you know, you run it by the board, and if anybody has any objections, I'm sure they'll speak up, but you tell me, not the other way around. I mean, there's nothing wrong with you giving me a ring and saying, how are we with money? What's this gonna do to us? But that's a conversation for you and I, just to go over the financials, or Dawn, she likes to go over the financials. But you tell me, so when you sent it to me, I just assumed you already told Corey to go ahead. But if you want, I can let him know, it's not a problem. But I just wanna make sure you understand the process, because I don't want you waiting on me.
I don't wanna get into that back and forth with her right now, that's not what I've been told in the past, cause whenever I report something, I always hear we have no money. So really, I just wanted to make sure, I'll forward it and talk to Corey, but I understand the process, which is not what I've been told, you know, in the past. But thank you.
All right, now we have owner Q&A. Is there any questions or anything from Janet?
Is Abraham still working here?
Yes.
We never see him in cluster 5. So I mean, I'm just wondering, where does the guy go? What does he do? If all of us are paying his salary, cluster 5 is getting nothing out of it.
What are you looking for? Because I don't have any work orders for cluster 5, I don't think.
But if he doesn't have a work order for something, doesn't he still supposed to come around, pick up trash, pick up leaves, pick up prawns that have fallen or whatever? I mean, yes, I don't think we have any work orders,
Right.
but I'm just talking about, I'm dragging prawns all the time to the trash. that are left out there. He never comes
Is that
by
him
us.
or is that Jesus?
I mean, he could do that, I don't see why he wouldn't be able to do that. So one of the things that the board has actually been talking about doing is, you know, at one point there'd been kind of a responsibility chart, or here's what you should be doing at various intervals. We don't know where that is. So we're looking at creating, here's a.
It's in my computer.
You say that every time and we never get a copy of it, so I'm throwing you under the bus. I have heard that from you for 2 years.
Send it over to us.
Well,
but
then ask for the damn copy.
We have asked, I will,
Send it.
no, listen, you know what I'll do, Nancy? Tomorrow, just like I did for Charlie for the towing, I will pull up every email where we have asked you for that, and I will send them to you.
Please do.
Okay.
So we're gonna get together and develop a list.
Like when you're here, this is what you should be doing weekly, monthly, quarterly, because I never wanna hear he doesn't have anything to do. Cause I'm like, what do you mean? This place is huge. There's plenty to do, even if you're cleaning the clubhouse, I don't care, but you're doing something for those 4 hours that you're here.
Cleaning the
So-
drain spouts that
Right.
people have for the rain that are full of little
That
leaves and
reminds me,
stuff.
I do have something to update all of you on. Abraham did replace all of the downspouts that had been flattened, or he's in the process of doing it, basically been driven over or damaged, so they were no longer actually funneling anything out.
Okay, I would have to look at, but the one next door to me, which would be 5902, that downspout has been apart from the one up, you know, from the roof line.